The killing of an iconic lion in a Zimbabwe national park has sparked international uproar. Today, authorities there identified an American as the big game hunter who illegally killed the big cat. Jonathan Betts is here now with this sad story.
Yeah, an interesting story, Erica. This has sparked huge backlash from all over the world towards that hunter. A protected lion lured from his sanctuary and killed by an American. Well, he's now coming forward, admitting it was a big mistake.
The 13-year-old lion was supposed to be out of hunters' reach. Part of a study, he was tagged with a GPS device. And so popular and beloved, locals named him Cecil.
We lost one of the icons.
When his remains were found in a Zimbabwean national park this month, his body had been skinned and his head cut off.
Outside.
Tuesday, authorities in Zimbabwe revealed the name of the hunter, Walter James Palmer, a dentist from Minnesota. Officials even released his home address and passport number for good measure.
Walter James Palmer is the guy who came into the country around the beginning of this month of July and was enticed, we're not quite sure yet, to harvest this particular lion.
In a statement, Palmer admitted to the kill but blamed his local guides, saying, "I had no idea that the lion I took was a known local favorite. I relied on the expertise of my local professional guides to ensure a legal hunt." Palmer was on safari in Zimbabwe when he or his team allegedly lured Cecil out of the park, shot him with a bow and arrow, then tracked the lion for 40 hours before killing him. A hunt Palmer allegedly paid handsomely for.
Information so far received shows that there was money which was exchanged to the tune of around $55,000.
Palmer has a passion for hunting big game, seen here on the website Trophy Hunt America, showing off his kills. The revelation of Palmer's identity set off an instant social media firestorm, with a Facebook call to boycott his dental practice, and the hashtag Cecil the Lion going viral. On his practice's Yelp page, people called him a vile and sadistic human. Do you want a sick SOB like this in your mouth, one asked? He is American Psycho incarnate. Cecil leaves behind 6 females he mated with and some 24 cubs. A major loss, activists say, for a species already in danger.
So Palmer is now being sought for poaching charges. His guides are already awaiting court appearances, and authorities say one of the saddest parts of all of this is that Cecil's cubs will likely be killed now by the next male lion in the hierarchy to take Cecil's place. Erica?
Oh, this is sad. All right, Jonathan Betts, thank you. Let's bring in Ron Magill now. He is a wildlife expert and communications director at the Miami-Dade Zoological Park and Gardens. He joins us from Miami. Good evening to you. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure, Erica.
So we know Cecil is the 23rd lion hunted down at this one national park in Zimbabwe. Why now is this garnering so much attention?
You know, because Cecil was an iconic animal. And the reality is when I hear this answer from this dentist saying, oh, I didn't know it was an iconic animal. You know, every lion is an iconic animal. But this lion had developed personality, become iconic. People travel from around the world to see this lion, to photograph this lion. And when you think about, oh, I paid $55,000 to do this, that's nothing compared to what tourists will pay to come see this lion. And that's where these countries have to understand this and really start enforcing these types of situations. Because to go out and kill an animal like this, it's not for food, it's not for survival. It's nothing but vanity. It's sickening. It's disgusting.
All right, so Ron, you have been to this particular park. What kind of safeguards have you personally seen to protect the animals from being lured out of the park and killed?
Well, that's the problem. You know, they just don't have the resources. They have so few rangers, so few patrols are able. These are huge expanses of land. And these poachers, you know, the sad thing is it's not really the poacher who's the bad guy here. These poachers are people who are just trying to survive. They're trying to get food for their families, for their children. And that money corrupts them and gets them in there right away. The real bad guys are these people who are just feeding the money in there, getting the money in there. They're corrupting. The corruption is overwhelming in these countries. And what you're doing is you're making it impossible to really protect these areas. These large national parks are not fenced. There's no way you can get enough people to patrol. There's not enough funding to provide the types of patrols, the types of officers to secure this. And the bottom line is that these poachers, they know the land as well or better than anybody. They seem to avoid it, and they're willing to risk their lives because a lot of times that's the only way they can make a living. That's the only way they can feed their family is end up poaching these animals. That's the sad thing. You know, the poachers are labeled as the really bad person here. and they're really the victim of a circumstance that's brought about by the corruption of this other money.
All right, so you speak to the corruption here really being a big barrier in the effort to protect these animals. Are there any laws, regulations that could be put into place that would truly deter illegal hunting and poaching?
Well, you know, they can put laws in effect, but if they don't have the manpower to enforce them, it's not doing the trick. What I'm really happy about now is the advent of social media. What you're seeing now in social media, this storm of social media, this can make a difference. There's that old saying that says, when the people lead, the leaders will follow. And now the people have a mechanism, have an avenue to really address this, to bring about this concern. And trust me, government officials are paying attention to this. They don't want people to say, you know what, I'm not even going to go to Zimbabwe now because they're not protecting their animals, or I'm going to boycott this dentist. Other people are going to think twice before they start thinking, you know, I want to pay this money because I want to go shoot this animal. I'm sick and tired of looking at images of people. I see people shooting giraffe, for Pete's sake, and taking these trophy pictures with giraffe. Are you kidding me? That's like shooting a tree. Please, this is ridiculous. I don't know what's coming about with society now, but we've got to get off of this kick of trying to satisfy our own vanity by thinking we can overcome an animal by doing something horrific like this. Get a camera, take a picture, put it on your wall. Both live and you have something beautiful you can look at for the rest of your life.
All right, spirited discussion. Ron Magill, thank you so much for joining us, wildlife expert and communications director at the Miami-Dade Zoological Park and Gardens. Thank you.
Thank you.